Zoran had once been the jewel of the galaxy. A place of towering cities intertwined with nature, where alien life and advanced technology coexisted in perfect harmony. Its ecosystems were renowned across star systems, its technological achievements unmatched. Then, everything changed. A deadly plague swept through the planet like a wildfire, decimating its population, ravaging its lands. The once thriving world was abandoned. Its people fled, leaving Zoran to rot, isolated and cursed in the eyes of the galaxy. For centuries, no one dared to return. The legends of Zoran's downfall were enough to keep curious explorers at bay. Stories of an unstoppable disease, a planet choking under its own death, dissuaded even the boldest. To the rest of the galaxy, Zoran was a lost cause. Better left forgotten. But humans were different. Where others saw a graveyard, they saw an opportunity. A small team of explorers, wearing the simple insignia of Earth's exploratory fleet, landed on the planet's surface. They had heard the warnings, the stories, but there was something in human nature that refused to accept such finality. They didn't turn back when others said it was hopeless. Their ship touched down on a desolate, wind-swept plain. Zoran's skies were dark, its atmosphere heavy with the stench of decay. The cities that once gleamed now stood as crumbling monuments to a forgotten age, overgrown with twisted, dying vines. The explorers, undeterred, exited their ship, stepping cautiously into the alien wasteland. "What a shame!" one of them muttered, looking around at the skeletal remains of buildings that had once touched the sky. The air around them was still, thick with the echoes of a past long gone. But even among the ruins, there were signs of something more. They came across small pockets of life, plants clinging stubbornly to existence, dormant machinery still humming faintly as if waiting for the return of its creators. It was a place of contrasts, death and life, silence and whispers of forgotten potential. "This isn't a dead world," another explorer remarked, kneeling to examine a patch of overgrown flora. "It's dormant." The rest of the team spread out, scanning the landscape. It didn't take long before they stumbled upon something that stopped them all in their tracks. At the base of one of the ruined structures, they found markings, faded but unmistakably deliberate. Alien symbols, carved with precision, almost hidden by the passage of time. "Do you see this?" one of them called out. "These markings, they're instructions or warnings, maybe." They leaned closer. "What happened here wasn't natural. This was done to them." The explorers exchanged glances. This was more than just an abandoned world. There was something deliberate about Zoran's fate, something buried deep within its history that others had chosen to forget. Despite the desolation surrounding them, a strange determination settled over the group. There was potential here, potential that others had overlooked or perhaps deliberately ignored. The explorers, spurred by this realization, began their survey in earnest. They found more signs as they moved deeper into the remains of the city. Dormant technology, machines that once powered cities, lay beneath layers of dust and neglect, still humming faintly with energy. They could feel it, pulsing through the ground beneath their feet. Zoran wasn't dead. It was sleeping. As they ventured further, the team came across something even more startling. In one of the derelict buildings, an archive, its data bank still intact. The technology was unlike anything they had seen before, far more advanced than even Earth's current capabilities. It spoke of a civilization far ahead of its time, a people who had mastered not just technology but the very essence of life itself. "This planet was on the verge of something incredible," one of the explorers whispered as they accessed the data. "Whatever happened here, it wasn't just a plague." Their suspicions grew. The symbols, the dormant technology, the hidden archives, it all pointed to something far more sinister than a simple disease. Someone had wanted Zoran to die, wanted its people to disappear. But why? For now, that answer eluded them. But what was clear was that Zoran didn't have to remain a wasteland. The planet was crying out to be revived, to be brought back from the brink. And if anyone could do it, it was the humans. They had faced worse odds before. The task of reviving Zoran was monumental. The human team had barely scratched the surface of the planet's potential, and now the real work began. Armed with their advanced Earth-based biological technology, they started the painstaking process of analyzing the remnants of the planet's ecosystems. Every step forward felt like a victory, but each new discovery only deepened the challenge they faced. The air was still thick with the remnants of the ancient plague, clinging to the atmosphere like a stain that refused to fade. It wasn't just the vegetation that had suffered. Everything from the soil to the microbial life beneath it had been affected. The team's first task was to cleanse the air and rejuvenate the ground, without which nothing could grow. Using cutting-edge purification drones, they released nanotechnology designed to neutralize any lingering biological contaminants. The process was slow, almost imperceptible at first, but over time, small patches of land began to show signs of life. The team worked day and night, tirelessly monitoring the atmosphere's chemical composition, checking soil samples, and cross-referencing the data with what little they had gleaned from Zoran's ancient archives. The combination of Earth's biological advancements with Zoran's own forgotten knowledge gave them hope. They used techniques pioneered on Earth, regenerative soil treatments, atmospheric scrubbers, and bioengineered seeds capable of surviving in hostile environments. But it wasn't easy. For every small victory, there were setbacks. The plague had left deep scars on the planet, some of which seemed irreversible. On several occasions, their attempts to plant Earth-based flora failed miserably. The seeds rotted in the poisoned soil, or the saplings withered in the tainted air. Yet, the humans pressed on, refusing to accept defeat. One evening, after a long day of toil, the first tangible breakthrough arrived. A small patch of forest began to grow. The team watched in awe as trees, long dormant and near extinction, took root and stretched skyward, their leaves trembling in the artificial breeze. Flowers bloomed at their base, delicate and bright. The sight was breathtaking, a reminder of the beauty that Zoran had once known. It was a tiny patch of life, but it was enough to inspire the entire team to continue. As word of their progress spread, other species began to take notice. The galaxy had long written off Zoran, but now whispers started circulating. Humans were attempting the impossible. The responses varied. Some watched with morbid curiosity, expecting their efforts to fail. Others were outright fearful. The legends surrounding Zoran still held power, and many believed the planet's revival was not only impossible but dangerous. Warnings soon followed. Alien envoys, some hostile, others well-meaning, began to contact the human team. One message in particular stood out. It came from a prominent faction within the Galactic Council, delivered with cold precision, **. Leave Zoran as it is. This world was abandoned for a reason. To revive it would be to invite chaos back into the galaxy. **. The humans dismissed these warnings at first, seeing them as the fears of those who didn't understand. But the messages kept coming, each one more insistent than the last. Some alien leaders were furious, claiming the revival of Zoran would upset the balance of galactic politics. If Zoran regained its former strength, it could challenge their own interests. Despite the growing hostility, the human explorers didn't waver. They had come too far to stop now. One by one, they stood by their decision to continue, united by a common belief that no world was beyond saving. Humanity had faced worse odds before. They had endured cataclysms on Earth, natural disasters, wars, and famine. They had rebuilt their own world when it had been on the brink of collapse. To them, Zoran was just another challenge, one they were determined to overcome. But the pressure was mounting. Alien factions began sending scouts to monitor their progress, some openly hostile. The team's communications were increasingly filled with threats, veiled and otherwise. And yet, amidst all the noise, the humans kept their focus on the task at hand. They had started something they couldn't abandon now. The first real threat came one night, under the cover of Zoran's dim, cloud-filled sky. A small alien ship appeared on the horizon, hovering just outside the perimeter of their base. The message was simple, **. Leave, or you will face the consequences. It was no longer a request, it was a warning. The team held a brief meeting. They weighed their options, discussing the risks and rewards. They knew the warnings weren't idle threats. If they pressed on, they would be going against powerful factions within the galaxy, potentially inciting conflict. But if they gave up now, Zoran would remain a desolate world forever, its secrets buried, its potential lost. In the end, the decision was unanimous. "We're not leaving," one of the explorers said with quiet resolve. "We came here to revive this planet, and that's exactly what we're going to do." Their determination was unwavering. They had seen life begin to return to Zoran's soil. They had breathed in the first clean air that the planet had known in centuries. To turn back now would be to admit defeat, and humanity wasn't in the habit of giving up when things got tough. They had a mission, and they were going to see it through, no matter the cost. As the humans continued their efforts to revive Zoran, they stumbled upon something unexpected. While searching through the ruins of a once great city, they found a forgotten archive buried deep beneath a collapsed structure. The archive was ancient but surprisingly well preserved, filled with encrypted data and hidden knowledge from Zoran's golden age. Intrigued by the potential answers it held, they set about unlocking the secrets trapped within. It took time, but their expertise in both Earth and Zoran technology allowed them to slowly crack the encryption. What they uncovered wasn't just a record of Zoran's downfall but evidence of something far more sinister. The plague that had devastated the planet wasn't a natural disaster, as many had believed. It wasn't an unfortunate accident, or a freak occurrence. The plague had been engineered, created specifically to target the Zoranians. It was a bioweapon, designed with surgical precision to decimate the population and ruin the planet's potential for generations. The team was stunned. They pored over the data, decoding fragments that revealed how the virus had been spread across the planet in a calculated strike. Zoran had been a beacon of progress, its technological advancements and biodiversity placing it at the forefront of the galaxy. But it had also been seen as a threat by those who sought to control the galaxy's power dynamics. The culprits were revealed in the data: an ancient alien empire, now long forgotten but at the time one of the most powerful factions in the galaxy. Their fear of Zoran's potential had led them to deploy the plague, erasing an entire civilization from existence. The more the humans uncovered, the clearer the picture became. Zoran's collapse had been no accident, but a deliberate act of sabotage, meant to ensure that the planet and its people could never rise again. The implications were staggering. For centuries, the galaxy had lived with the lie that Zoran had fallen to a natural disaster, while in reality, it had been the victim of an orchestrated attack, condemned to ruin by those who feared its power. The human team felt a surge of anger at the injustice. This wasn't just about reviving a dead world anymore. It was about righting a wrong, exposing the truth that had been buried for so long. Zoran's destruction had been unjust, and its potential had been stolen. Now, it fell to the humans to restore what had been lost, not only for the sake of the planet but to show the galaxy that such injustices wouldn't be allowed to stand. However, the truth didn't come without consequences. As word spread of the human team's discoveries, opposition to their mission intensified. Alien factions, many of whom had benefited from Zoran's downfall, were not pleased by what was being unearthed. The revival of Zoran threatened to disrupt the balance of power in the galaxy, and there were those who would stop at nothing to ensure the planet remained dead. The first signs of sabotage were subtle. Equipment that had been functioning perfectly one day mysteriously malfunctioned the next. Vital data collected from their environmental studies was erased from their systems, with no trace of how it had happened. The team tried to brush it off as technical issues, but it soon became clear they were under attack. Saboteurs were working from the shadows, determined to halt their progress. Someone, or something, wanted Zoran's secrets to stay buried. But the humans weren't so easily discouraged. They adapted quickly, reinforcing their security systems and implementing countermeasures to protect their work. They knew the risks now, but that only strengthened their resolve. Every attempt to sabotage their mission only deepened their commitment to see it through. They were fighting not just for the planet but against the forces that had kept it oppressed for centuries. One night, while the team was gathered, reviewing their progress, a member noticed something unusual in the surveillance feeds. Small drones, unlike any the team used, had been spotted hovering around the perimeter of their base. They realized these weren't ordinary drones. They were scouts sent by an alien faction looking to infiltrate the team's operation. The saboteurs were getting bolder, no longer content with subtle interference. They wanted to take direct action. It was a tense few days as the humans prepared for the possibility of more aggressive sabotage. Alien agents had managed to get close to their operations, attempting to gain access to their archives and destroy the evidence they had uncovered about the plague's true nature. But the humans fought back, outsmarting their enemies at every turn. They were used to working in hostile environments, and if there was one thing humanity had learned over centuries of survival, it was how to adapt. Realizing that the threat wasn't going away, the human team began reaching out to potential allies. They couldn't fight this battle alone, and the truth of Zoran's engineered destruction had the potential to stir up support from those who value justice. Using secure communication channels, they started spreading the word across the galaxy, leaking the data they had uncovered. Slowly, allies began to emerge, species who had suffered similar fates, civilizations that had been silenced or oppressed by the same powers that had destroyed Zoran. The fight was no longer just about reviving Zoran. It was about exposing the dark truths hidden within the galaxy's history. And while the opposition was fierce, the humans were more determined than ever. They had uncovered the truth, and now it was their mission to make sure it could never be erased again. The future of Zoran, and perhaps the galaxy itself, depended on it. But their enemies weren't done yet, and the humans knew that the real battle was only just beginning. The team worked tirelessly, now armed with the truth about the plague. They developed new techniques, blending Earth's advanced biological technologies with the ancient knowledge they had recovered from Zoran. Their goal was no longer just to heal the planet, it was to cleanse it entirely of the remnants of the engineered plague, to make it safe for life once again. With each breakthrough, the planet's ecosystem started to rebound. Areas that had once been barren wastelands began to show signs of life. The atmosphere, once tainted and hazardous, began to stabilize as the humans perfected their atmospheric cleansing technology. The transformation was slow but undeniable. Forests that had been reduced to ash now sprouted new growth. Rivers that had run dry or become stagnant flowed with clean water again. In the shadows of ancient ruins, new plant species, both earth-based and native to Zoran, took root and flourished. As the planet's renewal took hold, the ancient cities of Zoran, long forgotten and crumbling, began to return to their former glory. The humans, along with their growing number of allies, worked tirelessly to rebuild what had been lost. Zoran's potential, once stolen, was beginning to be restored. But the revival of Zoran didn't go unnoticed. The more progress the humans made, the more nervous the galactic powers became. Alien factions that had once profited from Zoran's fall began to take action. They feared what a fully restored Zoran might represent, not just the return of a powerful planet, but a shift in the balance of power within the galaxy. A Zoran revived by human hands would challenge the status quo, and that terrified those who had grown comfortable in their dominance. At first, the alien factions sent warnings. Diplomats from various empires appeared before the human team, urging them to stop their work. They argued that Zoran was too dangerous to be revived, that the plague had left irreversible damage. Some claimed that bringing the planet back could awaken long-dormant threats to the galaxy. But the humans didn't back down. They knew the truth now, and no amount of pressure would make them abandon their mission. For every alien faction that opposed them, another species, one that had suffered its own injustice, rose to support the humans. The opposition quickly escalated. Threats turned into covert attacks as alien agents attempted to sabotage the revival efforts. Equipment was destroyed, resources stolen, and Zoran's rebirth was jeopardized. But the humans had learned from the past. They were ready. They fought back with both diplomacy and force when necessary, gathering more allies by exposing the full scope of the conspiracy behind the plague. The galaxy had lived in ignorance for too long, and now, the humans were dragging the truth into the light. As tensions reached their peak, the galaxy watched in suspense. Would the humans succeed in reviving Zoran, or would the ancient powers that had once destroyed the planet finish what they started? The final confrontation wasn't just about Zoran anymore, it was about the future of the galaxy. Alien factions that had long dominated galactic politics were desperate to maintain their control, but the humans, bolstered by their allies, refused to be intimidated. They had come too far to turn back now. In a dramatic diplomatic standoff, the humans faced off against the alien factions in a final push. The galaxy held its breath as negotiations teetered on the edge of collapse. But humanity's unyielding determination shone through. They refused to let Zoran be erased again, and their resilience in the face of overwhelming odds earned them the respect of many who had once doubted their mission. The aliens, realizing they could no longer control the situation, were forced to stand down. The revival of Zoran would continue, and nothing would stop it. With the alien factions retreating, Zoran's rebirth was complete. The planet's ecosystems flourished like never before. The ancient cities, once thought lost to time, were restored, and the remnants of Zoran's civilization began to re-emerge. What had once been a barren, desolate world was now a thriving planet, filled with life and hope. The humans, who had defied the odds and stood against galactic powers, had succeeded where others had failed. They had brought Zoran back from the brink of extinction. But the revival of Zoran wasn't just about restoring a planet. It sparked something far greater, a galactic revolution. Across the galaxy, species that had suffered under the same oppressive powers that had destroyed Zoran began to rise up. They demanded accountability for the injustices that had been buried for so long. Zoran became a symbol of hope, a reminder that no world was beyond saving and that no injustice could remain hidden forever. Humanity, once viewed as just another species in the galactic fold, was now seen as a force for change. Their role in reviving Zoran had proven their strength, their resilience, and their refusal to abandon a world others had left to die. They had not only restored a planet, but they had sparked a revolution that would reshape the galaxy for generations to come. As Zoran continued to grow, its future guided by both its ancient past and the humans who had saved it, the galaxy watched in awe. What had once been a forgotten world was now a beacon of possibility. And the humans, with their unwavering determination and belief that no world should ever be abandoned, stood at the forefront of a new era.